Okay, so I'm back because we have a situation with another tornado warning here in southern Oklahoma. So we're going to take a look at that. This is down south of Duncan, and so we're going to cover this storm. This just kind of came up here just a few moments ago. The Weather Service just issued a tornado warning for it. So this is down here in Comanche, particular location of this developing mesocyclone with a wall cloud and a funnel being reported. Just crossed over 81, and the radar velocity data is looking a lot better each scan since then. So this is a new situational change with the rotational around 40 knots. So it's going to be an an EF1 category, about a 55%. Should we get a tornado in this environment? That's what the wind speeds would support, looking at the velocity data from the Doppler radar. So this is where your developing tornado is going to be. It's right along Meridian Road, which is about a mile and a half north of Comanche. So that puts it a mile and a half north of 53 and about a half mile east of 81. This also puts it about a mile south of Sunray and about a couple miles south of Meridian, moving to the east. So this is the developing area where we might see a tornado out of this as this continues to develop. So this is in southern Oklahoma, by the way. So if you look up here into northern Oklahoma, stretching up from Lindsay to Purcell, the south side of Norman, there's some rain, some heavy rain, a little bit of hail mixed in with that, but nothing tornadic. This stuff is way down here now in southern Oklahoma around Comanche. So this is our first decent couplet on the velocity scale. This is the first time I've actually seen something that looks of importance. Looking at different radar scans, here's another one. This would be from farther away in distance. We're about 5,000 feet here, and even that point's got a pretty good mesocyclone. Let's see. Let's take a look at the height for the one closer, and its altitude is about 4,000 feet. So 4,000 to 5,000 feet is the best we can do as far as the lowest level circulation center goes, what we can see on radar. But if I go this back in time, it looked its best just a moment ago, and if I put this in motion, you can see how it's kind of developed. Got the hook echo west of Comanche on the radar, the reflectivity, and then it started to kind of wrap up as it went over 81. So the warning was issued before then. At this point, it was a wall cloud reported. So it's going over 81, still a wall cloud reported, so no official confirmation. Just a wall cloud and what they look like a tail coming out of it. It's probably a little funnel coming in north of Comanche and in current position here. So we'll track this storm. Luckily, it's going over an open, non-highly populated area, passing just south of Sunray. If I were to take the radar off the map, we're looking, since it's past that community, we're looking at some open farmland with a lot of trees. Looks like a couple of farmhouses, though, in this path. So there will be a couple of farmhouses. Otherwise, most of this is going to be over an open field land, which is good news there. So this is the location of this potentially developing tornado. Again, it's a wall cloud. In most cases, we've had a funnel out of it. But I think that's probably the most we've seen out of any of these storms so far today, as far as anything that would be the next step before a tornado occurs. So be in your shelters, again, if you live northeast of Comanche, and that'll be for the next, I'll give it about 5-10 minutes, and it'll be out of your area. The latest on the warning, tornado and golf ball size hail is estimated for radar. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located near Comanche moving east at 20. They see no storm spotters have confirmed the tornado, but they have confirmed a wall cloud and possibly a funnel. Again, Comanche is the only major city, but it's already moved east of you at this point in time. But you don't want to be in a mobile home if you're in the path of this, because those will not hold up well to any tornado. So that's the latest on this warning, and this is going to expire. Let's see, what time's it expire? 8:30. So it's a very short warning window. Normally they'll issue a warning that goes out for about 45 minutes, and this time around they're doing it for just about 15 to 20 minutes. Let's see here. So that's the latest with that. don't have anything new else to mention about that storm. There are no other tornado warnings in effect. The one that was east of Stillwater continues to move into Pawnee and toward Osage County. It continues to weaken dramatically, so it's a shadow of its former self. Not even worth discussing. And the storms down here south of Oklahoma City, they're heavy rainmakers, so some flash flooding potential, a little bit of hail with them, but that's about it. So the only actual potential tornado of concern, and it still has not happened. It got close with the wall cloud and potential funnel, but that is just northeast of Comanche. It crossed over the Cow Creek Stream, and it'll be heading up on North Road 2836 and North Road 2850 and Oliver Road. So that's going to be where that residual circulation resides, and it has even fallen apart here in the last couple of scans. So let's do one of these. Yeah, there's no other towns that'll pop up here in the next 40 minutes, but Velma will eventually be in the path of this storm, so whatever's left of it will be heading up toward the Velma area. Let's see. Some significant rotation as far as the delta velocity goes, but that's pretty high. So the base of it's 4,000 feet. It's the lowest we can see. So that most of that rotational velocity is just above that. That is the latest look at the storm picture across the state. No new development has occurred west. And looking at satellite before I signed, right after I signed off earlier, I didn't see any immediate indication of any new development. But sometimes you can get some that pop up right at dark, so we're pretty close to that. So we'll have to see if something develops. But otherwise, this is the only game in town as far as any potential tornado concerns. And as of right now, there is not a tornado with it. It's just a radar indicated rotation. And the only other action is down at the Texas and Holiday, where you got some reports down here of a wall cloud potentially and a funnel out of that, but there's only a severe thunderstorm warning on it. So if I go down here and look at that one, yeah, I don't even see anything worth writing home about as far as rotational characteristics. That'll eventually though work its way into Wichita Falls and north of there, but staying in Texas and probably dying out in Texas too. So the Comanche one's the only game in town, and the inbound wind's still pretty decent in this vicinity, but the outbound wind is almost absent. So with this in mind, it spun up there for a little bit there for a couple of scans along Highway 81 on either side. So about basically 3 radar scans, which encompassed a 6-minute window where it looked a little decent, and then it fell apart. And that's all she's got so far. So I'll hang with this here for a second, and then I'm going to probably end this broadcast and just kind of keep an eye on it, because you can have a tornado warning, just so you know, without necessarily having a tornado. We just had that earlier. We had several warnings and there was never a tornado. So keep that in mind when you do seek shelter, that just because you have that does not mean you're facing an imminent threat of that type of magnitude. It just means that there's a storm that is capable of doing that. It may never do it, but it's a precautionary measure for you to seek shelter. But never get complacent and think, well, it's probably not going to do it, so I'm not going to seek shelter. That's not what I'm saying. You always take a tornado warning seriously. You always seek shelter from it. And then that way you're prepared should something happen. So we've had a lot of action for tornadoes, but just not in Oklahoma. We've had them in Kansas, and now we've got them in Missouri. I'm going to take a step up there because there's actually a significant tornado threat in that area. So let me go take a look here with this one. Yeah, there's that rotational couplet is still there, about 5,000 feet, but very, very weak. So we'll come back down to this in a moment. We're going to go up here into Kansas City region, north of there. Looks like a trail of storm spotter reports of rotating wall clouds with funnels. Tornado confirmed, large tornado, wedge tornado, trees uprooted, snapped, roof blown off, wind damage. So in this particular case, there is a tornado, looks like Well, there was one. It just now dissipated. The newest scan came out. So there was actually one back here, and then that thing was dissipated basically the next scan. So right before it was crossing Highway 69, it did have a good indication there on radar. So when it was over Highway 92, coming in Excelsior Estates, but then once it kind of got over 69, it fizzled. So that's good news for you guys. Otherwise, when you see a purple box for the tornado warning, it just means that it's been confirmed by storm spotters and also doing damage. If we look at the cross correlation coefficient, we can kind of justify that with how much blue you have on the map in this area. So here's your tornado, and then here's the cross correlation coefficient, and over here is your couplet for your velocity data. So you'll watch this blue as it goes eastward. You'll watch it get less blue, and you'll watch it expand as the debris kind of falls out and no new debris is added. So scan, still plenty of blue, still got a tornado signature. This is coming up on 69 through 69, and then now it's east of 69. You notice how all of a sudden all the blues have filled into green, and here the new scan just came in, hardly any blues left. So in other words, there's no new debris being added. This lighter color is just leftover stuff falling from the air and has expanded outwards over probably a 5-mile radius versus just a 1-mile radius. So that's kind of how that works with debris signatures on tornado detection. So that's good news there. All right, we're going to go back into Oklahoma, and we'll see if anything has changed down here in Stevens County, south of Duncan. So nothing there on that view. And we'll let this one load. So Velma, what you'll want to do is just use my weather app, by the way, AT's Weather to Go. It'll give you an alert for a twisting storm alert if it's going to produce a tornado, and give you a number assigned with it, a BTI number, which stands for 1 through 10. If it gets close to an 8, 9, or 10, you better hit the deck. Usually around a 5, 4, usually okay. It's just you need to take a very close look at it. All right, I'm going to take one more look from a different radar view, and we'll see what the velocity data looks like. And if it's just as bad as this other one, meaning weak, then I'll probably let it go. Huh. Alright, so in this particular case, north of Comanche, there's still a little weak broad rotation around 5,000 feet. It is so weak compared to what it was before. It's not even worth discussing. The tornado warning will continue though for this area, and do not disregard that. Just stay in your shelters. If you live northeast of Comanche in this farmland, coming up on Mud Creek Stream and eventually crossing over Highway 7 just west of Velma. So this is going to be taking another 30 minutes before that happens. So a lot can change between now and 30 minutes. The storm can either continue to weaken, or it can cycle and intensify a little bit and try to produce another tornado. But right now, the Weather Service looks like I just checked in with them. They're going to let the warning expire because of the way things are looking down here for the time being. So that means I will let it expire as well. So I'm going to sign off again. And if I feel a need to come back on with more additional tornado potential, we'll do that. Otherwise, you guys have a great evening. And tomorrow, as far as weather goes, we're going to see some more showers and storms across the southern parts of the state, but the big severe weather risk is really confined to far southeastern Oklahoma on into Texas and parts of Arkansas. So we find kind of a break here across most of the state when it comes to the severe weather season for at least a little while, and we'll see how eventually things go. We usually keep severe weather season until middle of June here, and then everything starts to shift more north with time. So it goes into the central plains and the northern plains as we had from mid-June to July, and then by the time you're in August, it's in Canada, what's left of it, and that's about it. Alright, so I still got a nice little hook on the reflectivity structure, but the velocity data does not scream anything of consequence. But it's definitely something to just kind of keep an eye on. That's what I'll do here behind the scenes. So you guys be careful out there this evening, and we'll talk again soon. All right, good night.